Today I'm going to teach you how to do a graded wet into wet wash. Now a graded wash is where it's going to start darker at the top and then it's going to become lighter as we get near the horizon and then get darker as we get near the foreground. This is something that we see in the sky. It's darker blue near the top of the sky and lighter near the horizon. A great way to paint water is starting lighter near the horizon and building up strength as you get down to the foreground. That way, it'll be darker on the edges of your painting and lighter in the middle of your painting. It's going to create a little bit of a vignette around your scene and help push the viewer's eye into your painting. And the reason I want to do this wet into wet, because in my painting process, I like to wet down the back of the paper and the front of the paper, and then I lay it on my surface and start to paint. So I want you to get used to the timing and the feel in the mixing to paint a nice, bold, graded wash wet into wet. The first thing that I'm going to do is wet down the back of my paper and the front. And for that, I'm using a sponge, and I'm just going to dampen the back of the paper all the way around. And you don't need to get it sopping wet. You just want it nice and evenly damp. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing on the front of the paper. And I'm using a small sheet of paper today. This is 7.5 by 11 inches long. All right, now that I have that dampened, I'm going to take a large mop brush. This is an Escoda size 18 mop brush. And get my brush wet. I don't like to just start mixing with a dry brush. I want to dampen my brush so it's ready to accept the paint. Now I'm going to start with some Cobalt Blue and Cerulean. I'm going to go ahead and use the actual colors that I use in sky and water, just so you guys can get a feel for that too. I am going to get a really rich mixture of paint starting off. So I'm adding more paint, just going back and forth between my Cerulean and my Cobalt Blue. And we'll just pretend our horizon is maybe just below halfway point here. But at the top of our sky, I'm going to go ahead and paint that. That's a pretty good start. And now I'm going to add a little bit more water to what I'm using. And I'm going to come up here where my brush is about halfway on what I just painted and paint across. Now I'm going to use a little bit more water. Added a little more water to my mixture. Now I'm coming back doing the same thing. Take a little bit of the paint off. Use a little bit more water. Come about to the halfway point and do the same thing. See how we're getting a nice graded wash? It's darker up at the top and it's lighter near the bottom. Now that's pretty good, but when I get to this point, I usually go back in and add some richer blue at the top of the sky. So let's do that again. I'm going to load up some more Cobalt Blue, more Cerulean, a good amount of paint, and because the paper's still nice and wet, I have more flexibility. Everything's going to blend really nicely on the paper. So I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to lay in some darker blue. And then I'll come a little bit further down, lay in just a little bit more. Now I have a little bit of water on my brush. I can just soften that out, make that a nice smooth transition. And the good thing about painting while the paper is wet, this is going to dry, but as it dries, it's going to smooth this out really nicely. And I'm painting on a 35-degree angle. You can't see the side of my drafting table, but it's about at a 35-degree angle. I'm not painting at a 45-degree angle. It's not flowing straight down, but a 35 gets that nice gradual slope to help that pigment really blend nicely on the paper. Now this is where the water would start in my painting. So I'm going to go back here, get some more Cerulean on my brush. I'm going to keep it nice and light still, and I'm going to paint that there. Sometimes I'll do it a few times till I really get that pigment how I want it to be. Now we have a really soft horizon line. Now as I come down near the foreground, I'm going to keep adding more pigment. So back to the Cobalt Blue, back to the Cerulean, keep mixing more into the mixture. Now I don't want it to just be a complete stark line, so I want to gradually add to my mixture. Coming back up, See how my brush is halfway on that wet line and halfway on the dry paper, and I'm going to bring it back across. We're going to keep building the strength up as we get down to the bottom. And if it looks too stark, I can go in with a little bit more water. I can kind of soften what I just did because the paper is still nice and wet and malleable at this point. And then now, as I come down, I want to add more paint. So go back and get more cerulean. And this is about a 50% mix of cerulean and cobalt blue. And these are Daniel Smith paints. I'm going to come back here, strengthen it again. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get more paint, strengthen it again. And I'm going to do it another time. More cobalt blue and more cerulean. Bring that all the way down. So that's the idea here. We have darker blue near the top of our sky, coming to a lighter blue near the horizon, and then we have a lighter graded wash that builds its way up to a darker wash on the foreground. This is a great thing to practice. It gets you used to how wet paper accepts your paint. It gets you used to mixing colors and playing with that water to paint ratio. It's a good thing to keep practicing. Next week, I'm gonna take on this street scene. I'm gonna be talking about simplification. There's so much information in this reference photo, and I'm gonna talk to you on how to simplify it down and turn it into something that is paintable. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that bell notification. I come out with a new video every week. And if you're looking for a resource that can point you in the right direction and help you out today, take a look at this. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You could print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.